जिंदगी एक मुसलसल सफर है जो मंजिल पे पहुंचो तो मंजिल बढ़ा लो।
Hello everyone, I'm Shreya, your host, welcoming you all to another enlightening session of the Mastermind podcast, where we will delve deep into the world of financial leadership and innovation. And in our today's topic, it is focused on driving financial innovation in today's business environment. And as we all know, the finance landscape is evolving rapidly and is influenced by emerging technologies, shifting business models, and also an ever changing regulatory environment. So, in this dynamic world, the role of finance leader is not just to adapt, but to drive transformative innovation. And before we dive into critical aspects of financial innovation, I would like to introduce our esteemed moderator of this session, Mr. Jogendra Singh. He's the president finance with Hero Enterprises. And he's an industry veteran for over 30 years and has been at the forefront of financial innovation and leadership. So, his unique perspective, along with the other panelists' deep understanding of the industry, will undoubtedly guide us through a rich and insightful session. Over to you, Jogendra.
Thank you, Shreya. Thanks for the introduction. And I may also introduce my esteemed panel. I have Shalini, who's CFO of Cavinkare, and Samir, who's CFO of Agilent Technologies, and Bhavesh, who's CFO of IDP Education. And looking forward to hearing from all of you your perspectives. So good afternoon once again. Is there anyone in India who has not used UPI? It is an example of how tech enablement and financial innovation can truly change the landscape of inclusion in society. You may remember many years ago, 15 paisa reaching the ultimate beneficiary out of rupees 1. And today, with this kind of technology, we are talking about taking completely rupee 1 reaching out for 1 rupee paid. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all in this panel discussion. Today, financial innovation is not only a buzzword, but a very critical driver of growth and transformation in the modern business landscape. Innovation in finance has been a game changer, reshaping industries and entering new paradigms. According to a study by McKinsey, digital finance has the potential to reach over 1.6 billion new retail customers globally by 2025 and boost the GDP of emerging technologies by over $3.7 trillion. So this is the kind of massive impact that financial innovation can have on economic growth and inclusion. Let's consider some transformative financial innovations that have already taken place. We have seen blockchain technology revolutionizing the way transactions are conducted in a very transparent and secure manner. Mobile banking has made financial services accessible to millions, even in the remote areas. Identifying opportunities for innovation within organization today is responsibility of all of us. And I think that is very, very crucial. It requires a keen understanding of both market needs and technological advancements. Companies that foster a culture of innovation and are willing to experiment to be more successful, I think they tend to be more successful in their innovation efforts. This involves not only adding new technologies, but also encouraging creative thinking with agility. However, this comes with its own set of challenges, cybersecurity threats, regulatory hurdles, and integration with the existing systems are concerns always. So you have to address these risks while we are looking at financial innovation. However, this fostering a culture of innovation is very, very critical factor. We have to create an environment where ideas can flourish, employees feel empowered, and be experimentative, take calculated risks, be allowed to fail. And then only we can create this kind of positive atmosphere. Balancing innovation with management and long-term stability is absolutely essential. companies need to innovate not just for short-term gains, but for sustainable growth. Successful financial innovation requires a balanced approach that aligns with the company's overall risk appetite and strategic objectives. I think this is what all of us have to really look forward to in our companies, in our economy, in our industries. So with this, I would come to my panel members, and Samira, I just come to you with the first question. Can you share some specific examples of financial innovation within your organization or industry that has had a transformative impact? And maybe you can explain how this was made successful.
Sure. Thanks, Jogendra. So I think we finance people have a bird's eye view of whatever is happening in our company, in the industry where we operate, which is the competition, the country where we operate, and of course, geopolitically worldwide. And we kind of the stewards and the custodians of all the data, all the market intelligence, and what have you. And I think now finance and IT have become two sides of the same coin. And earlier, the finance guys used to give data as and when the business used to demand it. But now is the time when you have real-time, online, on-demand information available to anybody and everybody when they need it. And we are there to kind of solve all the problems which the business faces. The best examples I can give you of a real finance transformation project which we undertook was that, Agilent is now a very big company. It's a life sciences, chemical analysis, and a biotechnology company. And big companies have their own challenges. There are multiple divisions, multiple product line. Every division, every product line has a different profitability, but the same customer buys from multiple divisions. And the discount which you give, is different. And the customer is fox. The customer is always the king. They want the maximum possible discount. So a division A gives them, let's say, a X percentage discount, whereas a division B, which is a lot more profitable, says, I'm going to give you only a 0.7x discount. So the customer, gets confused and he wants to ask for more. So this is a problem which came up in one of our meetings. And it got me thinking, how can we make sure that we can at least give a common discount percentage to all our big customers? So what we did was we pulled out data and what is the discount which has been given to different customers ordering from different product lines, and tried to come up with a weighted average discount for the same customer, but at the same time, make sure that the product line gives exactly the same discount which they were supposed to give. So in the internal MIS, we used to kind of give back, roll back the discount to those divisions which are very profitable and did not want to share a discount. Whereas for the customer, it was one consolidated percentage of discount. And I think, that was one transformation which made us look very good in front of the customers. The product line and the division also were very happy. And it just took away all the issues, all the problems which we used to face. And we came across as one common face. And I think the whole company really, really appreciated it. It was called the Deal Desk. We did it for our top 25 strategic customers. And we used to kind of track it almost on a monthly basis and make sure that we keep revising the discount upwards or downwards as a weighted average discount once every quarter. Another example I can give you, which also had a big, big transformation impact, was just creating a chatbot. So every sales guy, every finance guy, every manufacturing guy has access to SAP, and they used to pull out reports. And they said it's very complicated because we decided we're not going to send you all the details in an email and you have to open the Excel sheet. So you have to go and pull that report. That also helps me determine the usage of my SAP. And I don't want to feed people. I want them to come in to me and take the information. So they said it takes a long time to log on to HANA or SAP 4 or whatever else. So we created a chatbot called Ask HANA, wherein you type a command that, give me the profitability of this particular division for the last 10 years, compare it, or whatever. And, that has now become the most used application in the entire company. So just the ease of doing business, not just for the end customer, but for anybody and everybody who wants to get the information within the company to help us improve both our top line and bottom line. And finance is becoming more and more the face of IT, because at the end of the day, we help IT to create those reports, to make the access to the same reports very, very easy, and more importantly, give them the data which they need real time online.
Yeah. Samir, absolutely very well, discussed, especially, when you talk about democratization of data, the data being available to the person who actually needs that. And then you talk about, creating value add, in the company using financial innovation or technologies. I think very, very relevant points. Bhavesh, may I come to you and say, what methodologies or strategies does your organization employ to identify potential areas for financial innovation? And how do you prioritize these opportunities?
Thanks, Jogendra. And first of all, it's my pleasure to be on the CFO Story Talk Show. See, the financial innovation leading to a better processes and reaping efficiency dividends is very personal to each organization, right? Because everybody is in a different maturity level in terms of their tech usage, in terms of their business outlooks, in terms of their growth cycle in which they are, right? And therefore, like in case of all the innovation, it has to begin with what is the problem statement which you are trying to address, because all innovation should definitely lead to addressing a particular problem. And it is always, the innovation is always about striking a right balance between a cost of not changing, be it process or systems, vis-a-vis a cost to undertake a change, right? Because you would, as a finance guy, you would always do a cost benefit analysis, right? And therefore, innovation has to be looked from that particular angle. So the first part is trying to address a problem. Second part is like kind of putting your finite resources to the best use, right? So I think these are the two key areas which typically are the precursor or a pre-work which needs to be done for any of the innovation strategy to form shape, right? And the best methodology to identify potential areas for financial innovation is always look at the best practice across the industry. What is the latest trend in terms of the technological advancement? What's the new technology which is coming in? Can that make your life better? And what is the customer's need which you need to address? Now, for a finance guy like us, it would typically be the internal customers, right? And there can be the external customers as well. But what typically is the need of the customer needs to be kept in mind. I think a 360-degree feedback has always helped us to innovate and thereby keeping the customer at the core of what we want to do. Internal benchmarking assessment always helps to weed out the inefficiencies and to bring out the best possible outcomes with the support from all stakeholders. I think that's the methodology which typically we have like kind of followed, of keeping the customer in the center always, and then trying to make your way around of how you can make their life better, right? That's, I think, the key one. Now, in terms of prioritization of these opportunities, because obviously the resources would always be finite, right? And you would always have to prioritize what you need to do. I think it's very important, and in a journey of any innovation, it's really very, very important that how do you go on an elimination strategy as well? You would have to eliminate some of those ideas, etc., which probably may not help you support in your innovation journey or may not help you to give your desired outcome, right? And then once you're able to eliminate those, the ones which typically remains would be the core ones where you would have to put your money in to get the necessary outcome, right? So prioritization will have to be done specifically on that basis of putting your finite resources to the best use. So that's my points typically on that, Jogendra. Yeah.
So, thank you, Bhavesh. I think you brought out some very, very important points of, first of all, we need to understand that we are solving a problem. So, and the first step in solving a problem is that you create a right problem statement. And secondly, primarily the customer centricity is the core of the business, and only that will also help you in prioritization of whatever you want to do. So that, I think, are very important point that you brought out. Of course, the 360-degree feedback is also something that we have to truly keep in our mind while we are in this process. Shalini, let me come back to you. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you have encountered when adopting new financial technologies, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, sure, Jogendra. Before I answer, I would like to thank CFO Story Leaders for this opportunity. So, before I could take on the challenges immediately, I would just want to list down 3-4 projects or 3-4 implementations that we might have done here in our organization. First and foremost, Cavinkare, this organization is completely towards automation and digitization. We are on that journey quite ahead, I would say, in the industry. While there are top-notch companies out there, but then down south, we have come a long way in terms of automation. So in this journey, we had taken up several activities, especially since we are integrated backward in a very strong manner in our production processes or procurement processes. So the very need of measuring our data, inputs or losses or output became very much essential in our factories. So that way we have started on the journey of Industry 4.2 and brought in IoT technology in various stages of our operations. So if I take the example of factory, be it in terms of inputting the material, taking it to the production line, measuring the input, measuring the losses, normal losses, comparing it with the standards, and bringing out the output as per the required norm. These were all considered, and we brought in a certain mechanism in which the finance played a very vital role, especially with the numbers. So we pivoted this project and we ensured that there is a complete reconciliation of all the measures, be it in terms of tonnages or literage or TS in terms of dairy products. All these things have been taken care, and we are now today in a stage where we have reduced our losses to a greater extent, so that there is a proper reconciliation between input and output. So this was one example. Second one was around procurement, where we brought in a vendor portal. Right from the material requirement till the reconciliation of vendor is taken care in that particular platform. There is a visibility for the vendor as well as the organization on the requirement part. And the third one was around the asset tagging, especially where our coolers are being placed across the market. And we were in a requirement to ensure that the asset existence and the controls around them are in place. And the fourth one would be around sales interventions, where the secondaries are captured through various other applications that we might have in the market, be it SSF or DMS, and trying to have an API with SAP so that there is an interrelation or a connection between what is coming as secondary and what are the payouts that we might give to the stockists. So these are 4 major examples of certain projects that we might have had where there have been a good amount of financial implications earlier and certain corrections are made. Now the challenges. So I will bifurcate among product, process, and people out here. So when I talk about the product, the ready-made or the instant solutions that we might have got from the consultants or from the outside external agencies had to be customized to a greater extent to our needs. So it's not that the ready solution that I might have, I can just plug in and operate to the best utilization. A lot of struggle happened in customizing that product basis the company's specific or unique requirements. That was one. Customization to our needs, which involved a whole lot of CFT members to make sure that the requirements are met basis the changes that had to be happening in the solution. Second, on the process. Again, The solutions are require a good amount of process corrections, which came out at that stage where the inefficiencies in our own way of work have been identified, and a whole lot of corrections happen. And that again, resistance to change, which involved people. So it's not easy for any kind of change to happen, as we all agree. So a good amount of interaction had to happen with all the stakeholders, be it internal or external, our vendors, customers, our own employees, to bring about the advantages of having a particular solution in place. And it took a whole lot of time. It wasn't just an overnight transformation. The transformation happened in phases. So as and when people started seeing the results from the solutions that we might have given, they automatically adopted, owned the process, owned the solution, and now they are reaping the results. So the challenges are multifaceted and had to be overcome.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Shalini. I think you brought out some wonderful points of, first, creating that, automating or digitalizing the transactional, pieces, looking at the product, process, and people, and then measuring. We always say whatever gets measured can, gets improved. And change management, during this entire process, I think is one of the most critical thing to really look for. And I always say, for change management, there are only three solutions: people, people, people. So
Absolutely.
that's how you really look at. Samira, come back to you. How can leaders in the finance sector foster a culture of innovation within their teams, and what practices have you found as the most effective ones?
Sure, Jogendra. So within the finance community, I think what I encourage in my company is to have a process called ESA, which is eliminate, simplify, and automate. So what we do is we follow a process shredder approach. Everything should be shredded. Prove to me that this process is required. So I think this constantly keeps us on our toes to make sure that we are able to kind of deliver best in class finance expense as a percentage of revenue. I think we did a Gartner study, and we are by far the best amongst all the listed companies, at least in the US. So within the finance community, this is what I do. But I think the bigger value which I add to the entire organization is to understand what are the pain areas of my other colleagues, whether it's the sales guy, whether it's the HR person, whether it's the manufacturing guy. So I make sure either myself or somebody on my team sits on their process reviews, understand what their issues are, and try and help them with whatever data I can give them to kind of improve the challenges which they face, the bottlenecks which they face, and sometimes they just don't have data to benchmark themselves. For example, when I'm in the sales review, I'm more interested to find out why I lost the deal or deals rather than why we won, because somehow the sales guys have a habit of talking more about what they did versus what they lost. When I'm sitting with my manufacturing guy, I'm telling them that the cost of goods sold of my competition is better. What do they do? I look at their inventory turnover ratio. So trying to explain the financial concepts as well as the financial parameters of that of the competition, and making sure that they realize things which they are doing very well and also things which we are not doing very well. And that takes a huge initiative for us finance people to go and sit in their process reviews so that we can help them. As I said in the beginning, that we have a bird's eye view of whatever is happening in my company, in my competition, in my country, and then the industry. But remember, the business models are changing so fast. Like when I did my CA some 30 years back, there was a huge thing called capital expenditure. Now, with leasing and, various other finance options, we set up manufacturing plants in, probably 1/4 the time what I was used to earlier. And these are big manufacturing plants. The average time which a Fortune 100 company spends, is 19 years. I mean, NVIDIA wasn't even, in existence in the year Y2K. So you have to understand, your internal parameters outside of finance and try and kind of make some kind of a assessment, take that assessment, build consensus, help each other. And I think we guys play a key role to take the top line, bottom line, and of course, cash. I think if profitability was vanity, cash is sanity. So sanity is a must.
Yeah, I think absolutely right. You talked about the process, and then I remembered Dr. Deming, who was considered the
Six
father
Sigma.
of quality management. He used to talk about PDCA, plan
Yep.
to, and that's a loop that should always be there in case you want to improve, you want to innovate,
Yeah.
and understanding, putting yourself into the shoes of the user is absolutely very important to understand. What are you going to design? What are you going to innovate? That I think is probably very, very important.
And just
Bhavesh,
another thing, and Jogendra, now the latest Six Sigma trend is DMAT-V, not DMAC. When
yeah,
I did my black belt some 20 years back, it was define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now it's define, measure, analyze, redefine, and then verify.
yeah,
So
absolutely. And you're talking about zero-based,
correct.
absolutely creating
Process share.
cut down layers completely. So I think
Yep.
that's something where innovations come from. Agility is at premium today.
Yep.
Good, thank you. Bhavesh, I come back to you and then say, how do regulatory requirements influence financial innovation in your organization or organizations around you? Can you provide some examples where compliance either supported or hindered innovation?
No, I think that's a very relevant area which you touched upon, Jogendra, right? Because I, refer back to one very great saying it was a very famous quote by a former US Deputy Attorney General, Paul McCarthy. He mentioned once that if you think that compliance is expensive, try non-compliance.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
So that always resonates, in all the areas in which we operate, and specifically very relevant when you are, in the finance functions. You are the custodians of the compliances, right? And you need to upkeep that, right? So I feel that, look, the compliances acts as a guardians for innovation. Now, it may seem that the compliances sometimes hinders innovative spirit, but I strongly feel that it provides a periphery, a standard for innovation to comply to, right? That's so important. And I'll give you an example. So we are a global organization and operate in more than about 35 countries. And there was a need to provide a structure around various company law compliances which subsidiaries needs to undertake on a regular basis across the global geography or global footprints what we have. And things become complex when dependency on the local team to manage, where there is lack of a central mandate or a central team to track that, right? And even the access to the compliances documents becomes a challenging when you are in a multi-geography setup, right? So keeping requirements of compliances in mind and ensuring that regulatory requirements are met, we created a central function in our GCC in India, which had the vision of ensuring 100% compliances to the local company law regulations across the geographies where we operate, and provide them easy access to a database update module, and which would host all the past compliances of the database. And at the same time, we would leverage the technology to support their future compliances as well, be in terms of schedulers or alerts or even standardizations of documents, etc. So we innovated in the sense that first we created a team, so we had a team come together, and first thing which they did was created an in-house customized application, not only a database management, but which also had a front-end interface with a lot of these countries where it would interface with the external lawyers in their databases. It would interface with the company houses across many countries, and which would trigger a lot of these actions well in advance so that the dates do not get missed out. And it would also help in an indoor management in terms of the work scheduling as well, and ensuring that all the compliances, etc., are done, and the countries and the subsidiary finance teams are kept aware of their work schedules needs to include those compliance calendars, etc., right? And finally, it became that this team became the custodian of all the compliances and were able to timely address all the past overdue compliances as well. So with this innovative solution on this, setting up a small focus team, creating an in-house application, and ensuring that there is a backend integration and forward integration done to get to above the curve in terms of the compliances, that became a pivotal in ensuring that we are ahead in the process of the compliances. And so it was a kind of a great synergy between a compliance requirement and an innovative thinking, which led to these great outcomes.
I can very well relate, to your points, because, we also work, in at least two of the industries where, which are heavily regulated. So insurance is one. So we have an insurance broking company, which is heavily regulated by IRDA. And another one is real estate, which is heavily regulated by RERA. And while some people initially hated some of these, agencies, especially RERA when it came for real estate, for people like us, organized players like us, it was a boon. It brought out a host of practices and new areas and innovation in the industry, which actually uplifted this industry, considerably. Ultimate beneficiary has to be the customer. So therefore, I think I truly believe that some of these correct, right regulatory interventions absolutely help the innovation innovate. Shalini, I'll just come to you. What strategies does your organization use to balance the pursuit of innovation with the need for robust risk management and long-term financial stability?
Yeah. So every idea, any innovative idea that might come from any of the businesses or functions, as I said, our organization has again 4, 5 multiple segments, all distinct in its own nature: personal care, daily products, professional care, cosmetics products. So there are different types of product varieties handled out here, and each has its own nuances, be it as a product or a manufacturing process or selling models or channel. Each has a different approach. So weighing the risk and the return becomes a very important agenda when it comes to decision making at top management before it gets percolated down the level. So there are two important simple criteria that our organization follows. One is fail fast and fail cheap. Basically, whatever decision we make at the implementation level, we start small. And if it reaps results, we go ahead, we scale it up. If not, we fail in a cheap manner. So this is the first and foremost criteria that we have. Second one is around having the benchmark for the product or any product that we might develop, which in the sense like we have something called 2-point beta. Before bringing across any kind of products into the foray, there is a setup which analyzes the market, which understands similar type of products in the market or something better than product that we are thinking of, to make sure that whatever we bring out has a 2-point advantage over all other products in the market. So this is the agenda that we follow to bring in. So this is a small secret that we have, but I thought it's a good idea to share out here with it. So these are the two critical ones we follow. Apart from that, the regular risk framework which we follow in terms of making sure the working capital or the capex that we might invest those kinds of innovation are properly assessed for their returns, for the payback. The routine stuff does happen in addition to the decision making process that I just briefed. So there is a CFT which ensures all the CFT members gather and all their points of view are heard. It's not a one-man decision, or it's not a sole discretion of one person. It's a joint discussion, it's a joint decision making, and the ownership remains. So this is how, as a strategy, we follow for simple strategy we follow it for yes.
I think, all of us have made some wonderful, points looking at this topic, which is absolutely very, very important, driving financial innovation in today's business environment. Maybe as the final word, maybe in one line or one word, what do you think is the single most important factor for driving successful financial innovation in today's business environment?
So I would say open communication. This is the most important thing which I learned over the years for any innovation to succeed, to be open in our views, to bring about, be it positive, negative, anything about a process to be changed. We need to be open. And then it's about alignment, just like what Samir said. There has to be a good amount of alignment among all the functional teams.
Bhavesh, what do you think?
Well, I think the word which resonates with me would be simplify, that how can you innovate to make life easy for users? There are multiple avenues you would have seen, Jogendra, which make life complex, right? But one who makes it easy is solving for future, and thus is a true winner.
Yeah, I always say, problems are complex, solutions are simple. So let's go for that simplicity. Samir, you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jogendra, I'll say that be a risk taker as well as a risk mitigator. So without risk, life will be very boring. You'll be kicked out, but along with risk, mitigate it, document it, and go ahead.
Absolutely. And, if I may add, I would say the growth mindset and understanding the business and customer centricity. Probably these are the topics, that would always be around, while we talk about innovation and centricity, creating that kind of atmosphere where we are always thinking of going ahead, taking, calculated risk, creating that environment. And I always, quote, something I say, Zindagi ek musalsal safar hai. मुसलसल is continuous. So जिंदगी एक मुसलसल सफर है, जो मंजिल पे पहुंचो तो मंजिल बढ़ा दो. So go for the next growth, go for innovation, go for risk taking. And with that, I thank you all for your wonderful contribution to this topic. Thank you very much.